Hey guys, welcome back to my channel.
That's news, girl.
So I just finished watching the Joe and Jada podcast interview with Remy Ma. And I'll be honest, I had no idea they were on Netflix. I missed that whole thing. I'm not really big on watching podcasts on Netflix, whether it be the Breakfast Club, Joe and Jada, anyone. At least not yet. I like to read comments and interact with people. Speaking of that, make sure you leave me a comment. If you notice, I basically answer and reply to everybody. So leave me a comment. And yeah, so this was a real New York interview. And I say this to say I'm from New York City, but even for me being from New York City, the Bronx in particular, this was a hard watch. This was all over the place. Fat Joe, I can't take too much of him. I literally had to take breaks watching the interview with his story times. They didn't ask Remy Ma enough questions. They overtalked her. Well, not they, Joe. And he knows it. Everybody tells him and he's still doing it. It's just too much. If she tells a story, he makes it about himself. And one of the most important parts that everybody's looking at his interview for, which is the part where she starts talking about Papoose, he's cutting her off. Like, shut up. We want her to say stuff. Maybe she'll slip up and say more shit. We want to hear it. Be quiet. Anyway, overall, I give the interview, I say a 7 out of 10. I'm a Remy fan, so I would have watched it without the drama. I like to hear her talk. She doesn't really do a lot of interviews. I like how she keeps it real. I just like her. But she didn't give enough. She didn't give enough for me. I don't know if it's because Joe was cutting her off, but she did start talking about and take shots at Papoose at the 32 point, what is it, 15 mark, talking about how Papoose, he keeps going in the studio. He's basically thirsty to get a hit. She's confirming that he keeps going in the studio to try to make a hit. And as we know, he's been releasing albums that nobody knows about. But it's because he's so determined and so thirsty to make a hit. He wants to be a star. And don't get me wrong, Papoose must be so frustrated. And that's why Remy said that he changed in a relationship. Because it has to be frustrating, everybody around you.
Busta Rhymes.
Fat Joe, 50 Cent, your own wife that you sleeping next to at night. Everybody has hits, making money. People probably asking for her autograph, her picture when they go out. She's doing shows, she's performing while he's there holding the purse and tying her shoes. Everything you want to do, she's doing. You understand? And in the beginning, he probably thought like, okay, my turn is going to come. But then years passed. They've been together for 20 years. And years passed and his time never came. So what happens? He starts to get resentment against her. And that's natural. And I feel like that is what broke them up. You understand what I'm saying? And she said it in her live. That's what broke them up. He got resentful and mad that the reason why he's not stopping Clarissa from talking about whatever she's talking about is because Pap has never gotten this much clout, right? Everybody's talking about Pap. He's probably getting the most views on his videos. He's getting interviews. Everybody's talking about him. So he doesn't care if it's negative or positive. He's finally getting some shine outside of his wife, even though it's still connected to his wife. It's a real sad story if you think about it. Anyway, back to the interview. So yeah, she did talk about, like I said, at the 32.15 mark, Remy Ma did talk about Papoose. She took a sub, though. She was taking subs. She didn't say his name, which I was a little disappointed at, because you talk about them talking about you in the interview and say your name, and you say in the rap song, say your name. Rem, I will call you out on that. I won't be biased. You should have said his name. You could have said Papoose, or you could have said my ex, or you could have said, you didn't talk about the divorce. You didn't talk about what we wanted to hear. And like I said, you should have just said his name. Everybody already know who you're talking about. Everybody already know who you're talking about. You understand? So anyway, I'm not going to play the clip here because Netflix and the copyright, they will have me shut down in 2 seconds. But basically what she's saying, to paraphrase, was, yeah, he's a leech. He's broke. He kept going to the studio trying to get a hit, and he just could not get a hit. And then that built up resentment. That's basically what she's saying. And we see it. And she's basically saying, like, so at least some people have options to make money. Papoose doesn't have the option out here because he's still trying to get it at almost 50. I do want to add, I don't like when they started talking and going in about being famous and replying to comments and things like that, and how hard it is to be famous. I understand it's hard for them, but only they can relate to that. And I feel like that's a private conversation. They're talking amongst themselves and not really to the audience. We're not here for that. We're here for the tea. Where is the tea? And this is exactly why content creators are taking over and celebrities are losing their spots, because content creators keep it real and celebrities, they're trying to uphold this image. We don't care about that. We want to get to the real news. Oh, and one last thing before I go. They briefly spoke on the Remy network, which was good that they started off with that because she started off with promoting her brand, promoting what she came there for, not going straight into the gossip and the mess. But Joe went off into some story about Tubi. Why are you bringing up Tubi when your sister is talking about the Remy network? If he watches the Remy network like he claims that it's playing in his house, he should have been talking about a show that he watches on the Remy network that's so good that should make everybody want to run to her network and watch the show. Instead, he's promoting a show on Tubi. I am not a psychologist by any means. I do not have a psychology degree, but it's kind of evident and obvious that Fat Joe or Joe has some type of ADHD or some type of disorder, or he's just slow, right? Because what was that? Like I said, I give the interview a 7 out of 10, and that's just because I'm a fan of Remy. But to tell you the truth, I wanted more. They really didn't ask her any questions. And I know they're men, and men don't want to get messy or be messy. But if you're going to come into the podcast space, you got to go there. You got to ask the real questions. Remy, why aren't you guys divorced yet? When is the divorce going to be final? Who is holding up the divorce? Why are you not divorced? Is Papoose dick so-so? Okay? She should have spoke about Clarissa Shields being in her DMs before finding out that Clarissa Shields was sleeping with her husband. How do you feel about that? Okay? So, and what else? And they should have asked what caused the breakdown. Well, she kind of did touch on that. It's because of the resentment and then he's not bringing any money. She said in the interview she doesn't have to share her money anymore. She's also taking shade at him. Again, Remy, you should have said his name. You said, oh, listen to rap. Are you shy? You should have said his name. They should have went bar for bar and broke down her latest freestyle. These are 3 rappers. Yes, the rap is pretty much self-explanatory, but 3 rappers are sitting there. She has one of the hottest diss tracks out right now. Who I would have asked her, who got paid for getting their body done? Does Pap have so dick? You know, ask her line by line, bar by bar, what's going on. Did Papoose write 90% of your raps? Did he write 9% of your raps? I'm so messy. I would have named 5 top female boxer, including Clarissa Shields, and asked her who she thinks is the real GOAT of female boxing. Then I would have proceeded to take out a visual of her mood board with a pointer and ask her which styles does she think inspired people the most. Remy, how and who did you spend your last Christmas with? Did you ever get your pawn chain from that Long Island pawn shop back? Is she single or is she currently dating someone? Does she believe in late night booty calls with exes? I know that's going a little too far, but Netflix would have got their money out of me. They would have got their views because I would have been messy. Joe and Jada, you know, I've messed with Bronx ninjas. I've messed with ninjas from Yonkers. I understand how y'all think. I understand y'all real ninjas and y'all don't want to get messy and ask the questions. If y'all need a co-host, a guest co-host, email me. I'll ask the messy questions. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about the Netflix video. If you didn't see it, you probably can catch clips online. I'm not posting any clips. If you did see it, let me know what you think and what do you give it out of a 10. If you made it this far, please do not forget to comment and like. And thank you guys for supporting my channel. I see it, and I thank you.